QPR drew 1-1 with 9-man Plymouth Argyle on Saturday afternoon after Morgan Whittaker's 28th minute deflected screamer cancelled out Michy Frey's 2nd minute opener. It's a result that will leave Rangers frustrated, having played the best part of an hour against 10 men and having had some 30 attempts at goal throughout the 90 minutes, but a toothlessness in the box and a lack of real quality delivery means that Ars still remain in search of a first championship win this season. As usual in this video, I'm going to break down this performance and give my thoughts on what worked and what didn't. So if you enjoyed this reaction, then make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you want to support the channel further, you can do so by becoming a member via the link in the description below. It was 3 changes and 3 home debuts for Martí Cifuentes' Queen's Park Rangers at Saturday lunchtime, with Dembele and Saito both coming into the starting lineup for Lloyd and Anderson after impressive showings in Sheffield last weekend. While our latest recruit Nicholas Madsen also slotted straight into the side in place of Varane, having already kicked off his season with 4 appearances for Westerlo. And these few tweaks offered a great deal of promise in the opening minutes of the match, with Dembele picking up right where he left off last weekend by driving towards goal twice in the opening 90 seconds through the middle. He could have had an assist for Smith after slotting him in behind from Frey's sideways nod on, but Paul picked the wrong corner and Hazard blocked it at his near left. But Dembele only had to wait another minute for his 2nd goal involvement of the season, swinging another corner to the near post for Frey to slip in front of his marker and glance into the far corner in an almost inch-perfect recreation of Karamoko's delivery to Jimmy Dunn last Saturday. And I'll be honest, with such an early goal and the way we'd created so many chances right at the beginning, I thought we were going to get a few here. Dembele was a massive issue for Argyle in the opening 20 minutes, and he was proving too much for them to handle, quite literally when Adam Forshaw earned his first yellow card for manhandling him continually for 20 yards. And then Dembele nearly doubled our lead when Madsen casually slotted him into space on the edge of the box, only for his curling effort to just brush off at the top of the crossbar. The trouble is, as with West Brom at home and Cambridge in the Cup, Argyle weren't without the ball themselves and they hadn't lost steam from going a goal behind. I actually thought they worked it really well in the opening quarter of the game, with captain Joe Edwards dictating play from right back and lone winger Ibrahim Sissoko causing Dunn issues down the right hand side. A big part of our regression for me is our attempt at playing out from the back. Our build-up play is really slow and it invites teams to press us higher and higher. Madsen was a welcome calming presence in the middle, picking up the ball a couple of times and distributing it well across the pitch, but he didn't always have the option to do that and it led to the ball being recycled to the back. And our inability to progress again led to our creativity gradually slowing down and Plymouth getting more opportunities to get further up. Sam Field, while not quite as cumbersome as Cambridge away or the first half at Sheffield United, was pretty bad again here in this first half. It started in the small details, having to take one more touch than anyone else when receiving the ball and therefore losing time to do anything other than pass it sideways or backwards. And it of course ended with Argyle's 28th minute equaliser. Field's heavy touch from Whittaker's misplaced pass into the middle gifted him a second chance, which he this time wellied, and with a handy deflection from Sam's attempted block, it sailed right into that top right hand corner. Now I'm sure a few of you might think that's overly critical given the deflection, but you just can't afford to give the ball away in those positions. Hamer punished us for it last weekend and Whittaker did it again this weekend. The blow was of course softened a minute later by Forshaw collecting his 2nd yellow of the game after needlessly cutting down Jimmy Dunn by the corner flag, meaning for our 2nd meeting in a row at Loftus Road, Argyle have had a man sent off just before the 30-minute mark. But the thing is, just like that match back in December when we couldn't break down their 10 men, it really didn't make too much of a difference. You really couldn't see where the gap on this pitch was, and while that's full credit to Plymouth's 10 men, I was concerned that we couldn't really work the overload. And this again came down to our inability to work the ball further up the pitch. Koki Saito didn't have nearly as much joy as he did last week out on the left hand side. He struggled to get into spaces where he could influence the game. And although Frey impressed me with his hustle up top, there weren't enough runners up top in behind for Dembele's creativity to flourish. Marty made his first move to rectify this at the beginning of the 2nd half, where after not a single sub warmed up on the pitch during half time, Jan Seller came on for Saito, and tactically it did do the trick because Argyle barely got out of their half in the next 45 minutes. In this 2nd half we had 74% possession and 18 chances at goal, but a real lack of quality delivery and finishing meant that we just couldn't take advantage. Probably the closest chance came on 50 minutes when Paul Smith whipped in Dembele's short corner to Sam Field, but Hazard made an excellent save in the bottom right corner to deny him. The chances kept on coming in the next few minutes, but it just wouldn't quite come together, which was ultimately the story of this 2nd half. It was either the header wasn't clean enough, with Dunn and Frey heading wide in the next few minutes, or the ball wasn't just quite right, going to the near post when it should be far, or far when it needed to be near. A lack of presence at that far post, particularly on the left-hand side, was the bigger of the two problems for me. Marty's decision to hook Koki at half-time made sense, with Smith initially flipping wings and Dembele pushing out to that right. But that lasted about 10-15 minutes because eventually Smith gravitated back out towards that right-hand side. Initially I thought this was by accident, with Smith heading down the right from a goal kick, but it remained that way and we played the majority of the second half without an attacking presence on the left. It meant that we were incredibly lopsided, which I could understand if we were looking to overload Argyle on that side, but we didn't even really do that. It was actually Jimmy Dunn who enjoyed a lot of freedom down that right hand side, and he beat his man well a few times, but there was a minute or so about an hour in when the ball just kept coming back to him and he didn't really know what to do with it. I'm not blaming Dunn there, but it felt like we were really lacking somebody to get that play going. With these balls into the box not quite working, at times it felt like it was crying out for a midfielder to score from the edge of the box. Madsen, who I was really impressed with this afternoon, got himself into some really good spaces, but most often chose to pass, and when I thought his time had finally come on 68 minutes, there were just too many Argyle bodies in the way for the shot. The chances kept on coming, but the quality of them didn't really improve, and it just never really felt like we were going to score. I thought two up top might benefit us, but the box became crowded and Frey looked rougher and rougher around the edges as time passed. Seller himself was much more involved this time round, but he spurned his free chances at goal in the box and he was unable to keep the ball low when he was turning. Marty eventually rectified the imbalance on the wings with a further two changes, with Colley replacing Frey and Varane replacing Madsen, but the more the game went on, the less I could see a winner coming, especially once Steve Cook's lovely volley was impressively saved in one corner by Hazard, and then Sam Field's header was saved in the other corner immediately after. We did thankfully defend well at the death of the game when Plymouth eventually had a couple of chances. We've all seen us lose games in this way before, but thankfully Gavin Ward wasn't fooled into a late penalty appeal for Such, who watching it back looked like he had more of a hand on Jake Clark-Salter than he did on him, and Asaka's late challenge on Powell, which rightfully gained him the second red card of the game, diffused any chance of a late counter-attack. There was one final late change for Rangers, with Alfie Lloyd replacing Dembele, but it was too little too late and the points were shared. Marty spoke in his post-match conference about the fact that he's not concerned, essentially because we created so many chances and we stuck to our plan. And I mostly agree, but ultimately there just wasn't enough quality in the delivery or attempts against a side that had just 10 men for the majority of the game. It really didn't feel like 30 chances because the majority of these were underhit or overhit balls into the box that we're desperately hoping for someone to get on the end of, which they really couldn't, and when the ball did fall for someone, they just couldn't finish. There was also the fact that we didn't really mix these deliveries into the box up, and I found this against West Brom as well. From the second half, we basically just decided our game plan was to pump crosses and corner balls in for the big boys up front, which feels quite the departure from the possession-based football Marty seemingly wants to play, and not really the type of service I can see someone like Seller benefiting from. I think it's all about balance. I want to see us be direct, but I also want to see us play it cute as well, which will really suit Dembele and someone like Seller, I think. Going back to that first half too, until the first sending off, Argyle had more of the ball than us, so either the press or the playing out of the back, or both, isn't quite working yet. So I suspect for a while we're just going to have to keep giving this team the same benefit of the doubt, in that it will take time for them to gel, and when Chair and Anderson are available, we should go up another level. There were obviously some positives here. We created a ton of chances regardless of the quality. We were positive from the first whistle this time, at least until the equaliser. Dembele looks like a hell of a player. I'm really excited by him. And I was really impressed by Madsen as well. Of course, I have to mention Dykes not being in the squad at all. And from Marty's elusive comments on him, it seems like he's going to be off before the end of the window, which I know many are going to find ironic given we've now just decided to start crossing the ball into the box. But if that is true, I hope it means we're going to be bringing in just one more centre forward before the end of the month, because I think just a quicker, more athletic profile is going to offer us a different dimension, and I think they'll link up really well with the likes of Dembele. Just like after West Brom though, we don't have much time to dwell on this result, because we turn now of course to the first of two matches next week against Luton, with the Hatters first heading to Loftus Road on Tuesday evening for the second round of the Carabao Cup. To avoid me talking about mostly the same things twice over, I won't be posting a match preview for the League Cup game given we then play them again on Friday night, but I will be posting a match reaction for that and then a Championship League preview with the We Are Luton Town podcast, so we'll be discussing both matches then. Had we got a win today, I could have seen Marty playing a little bit of a weaker team than he did at Cambridge, but given we're still in search of 3 points, I think again we're going to see a similar blend of youth and senior players. It does give us a chance to have a look at Morrison again though, which I'm looking forward to. I imagine Varane will probably come in for a full 90, and surely Santos will make a start, having been totally uninvolved in the league so far. I would expect Rob Edwards to probably prioritise the league. The We Are Luton Town podcast are also expecting a mix of youth and first teamers, but then again, Luton are also winless in the Championship so far, and like Marty, I'd imagine that will lead to them fielding a stronger team than expected. It's a really tough one to predict, but I think Luton will probably just edge this one, so I'm going to go with 2-1 Luton. Anyway, that's enough from me in this video. Do let me know what you thought about QPR 1, Plymouth 1, and let me know what you think the score is going to be for our clash with Luton in the Cup on Tuesday night as well. Thank you so much, as usual, for watching this match reaction. If you've enjoyed the video and you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do consider doing so. It really helps me to reach more people, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!